Welcome to the war. I'm back again with another Barons War battle report. It's going to be another 500 point aside game. Still working on getting those forces built out so we can put a more larger game on for everyone. But for now, I think we're going to stick with the smaller kind of skirmish size scale. And I'm going to be playing the Glory Seeker mission today. So just to read the blurb on that, it says it's not enough to defeat your foe; they must be humbled, their leaders slain, and their greatest heroes butchered to demonstrate your might. Oof, scary stuff. Anyway, so essentially for this game, it's a fairly straight up one-on-one fight. Each player, or in this case, I'm solo gaming it, but each side is going to earn points equal to, or victory points equal to the amount of opponents they slay, or the points value of the opponents that they slay, and that amount gets doubled for any heroes, which in this case is just the unit commanders. But we'll get into the force organization or the army lists in a minute. But for now, suffice to say, I'm still going to be playing this on a 4x3 table size, and I think I mentioned this probably in my unboxing video that I did for my Death and Taxes purchase, that I'm going to be using my church model here, which I typically use for World War II gaming, although it's obviously older than that. It might be a little too modern or new for this sort of medieval period, but I think for all intents and purposes, it works for now as a pretty large kind of centralized terrain piece. And surrounding that, we've got some of the woods. So I think without further ado, I am going to be, I'll roll live on camera to at least determine what the deployment zones are. I always think that's an interesting and exciting part of the game setup process, because there's so many different options in this game. So, all right, without further ado, let's go take a look at the forces, and then we'll get on to deployment. First up, I have 504 points, just slightly over there, of Outlaws. And I am going to be, while I'm using the Robin Hood model as the commander, he's not the character, so he's just an outlaw commander in this game. Outside of that, I've got one unit here of regular outlaw bowmen. Each of them is armed with a bow, obviously, and leather and padded armor. Over here, similarly, I've got seven bowmen, also regular, also with leather and padded. Our token green unit is going to be this unit of outlaws here. They don't have anything, and they're green, as I mentioned. And then the highlight of the battle report, and really the excuse I've got to play this, is my brand new shiny contrast painted unit of Slingers. So 8 of those. They're also regular, yep. And I've been really excited to use these. It's one of those units. I read the rules about them after the fact and thought, ooh, they seem really exciting to use. Anyway, I know I'm solo gaming this, but I will do my very best not to show them any favor in terms of decisions I make with them, both giving and receiving when it comes to attacks. But yeah, that's the outlaw unit, or warband. Let's go take a look at their opponents. On the other side of the table, or wherever the deployment begins, we've got 502 points here. I would say predominantly more sergeant looking types, or a few knights there on the end. But here's a look at what we've got here. So I think just to start, yes, this chap on the red horse, he's going to be our mounted lord. He's got a shield and a lance. He's regular. In fact, everything in this army is regular except the token green unit. Backing him up, or joining him, are 2 other knights. They're also mounted with shields and lances. The green unit here is this unit of 8 levy spearmen. I haven't used these yet. It's 4 sergeants with falchions. They've also got medium shields. And then 2 units, I split these here, 2 units of 6 crossbowmen, also regular, as I said, and I believe I gave them leather padded armor. So those are the 2 forces. And now I'll just briefly cut away so I can get the book held open and roll to see how we deploy. Okay, several rolls we need to take care of here. So first of all, let's decide on the battle map. So I'm just going to roll a d20 until I roll a number between 1 and 12, and that will be the map we use. So 10. Okay. Ooh, interesting. See, this is what I love. We're going to be using this deployment map. Now, we need to determine who's going to be blue or red in this case. So first things first, this is the roll, and we decide this on the highest roll of a D10. So first the Outlaws, they got a 2, and the Sergeants, they got a 10. So the Sergeants can decide. I think I'm gonna have the Sergeants take the blue area. So I'll deploy them in the blue area, and the Outlaws will be deployed in the red area. You can see that. And then lastly, we just need to decide who's gonna go first. So again, Outlaws 6, and okay, so the Outlaws are gonna go first. So all right, I'm gonna go get everything set up here, and then we'll get started with turn 1. Okay, everything's deployed, and I love this game. I love the way those kind of variant deployment zone or maps really make you think, and you never really know what you're walking into, despite the mission. So I have to say, while this was a pretty straight, easy choice for the, I'm just going to refer to them as the Sergeant's side. They kind of all huddled around sort of a centralized point here. You can see around here, I got a unit of crossbows there in front of the woods. The other unit there in the little gully there. The Knights on the hill. The levy kind of bulking up the numbers at the back. And then the Sergeants with the falchions sneaking around this side here. However, oh my goodness, this was such a challenging deployment for the Outlaws. Ooh, they lost a model here. Let me just pop this back up. They really are, I feel, funneled into quite a tricky, oh, I'm losing them all. A really tricky, narrow kind of point, and I'm worried that to kind of just put them over here, stack them too close to each other or behind each other, kind of back here. If one unit starts breaking and running through them, I think that could be a real problem. So my objective here, I think, is to have them fan out. And even though quite early on in the game, and even though they would be able to deploy really right up to here in this kind of narrow gap here, they're going to be at the absolute mercy of anyone getting the jump on them in the first turn, which I think is quite likely. Anyway, so everything's deployed. You can see I did sort of favor putting the bulk of the all of the missile troops up on the hill. They won't be affected by that difficult terrain, so I think that's going to be quite helpful. Or is that a Robin Hood rule? I can't remember. I've looked that up, but either way, they're going to be fine over there. Specifically, I've kept the Slingers kind of out of sight behind the building, and the levy Outlaws are going to be on this side, kind of pushing forward or trying not to get shot. I might even try and pull them over here and have a dig at the falchion Sergeants here. So without further ado, let's get on with turn 1. Turn 1, and there's already drama on the field. So long story short, both sides really try to push forward with anything that is a melee combat kind of unit. So the spearmen, the Knights there coming around the building, this unit of Outlaws for the Outlaws, and then the Sergeants over here with the falchions. They all sort of just tried to move forward. However, the biggest kind of evident factor of the battle was the amount of shooting that happened. It was absolutely devastating, starting with the unit of crossbows up here. They fired on this unit of outlaw bowmen. Here you can see in front of me. They inflicted 1 casualty. It wasn't too bad. And actually, the unit of outlaw bowmen here used their corresponding action to return fire. And that's what's caused 2 casualties and pushed that unit of crossbowmen back into the woods. Outside of that, the most devastating thing was the commander used one of his command actions on this group of 5 crossbowmen, and they were able to inflict 3 casualties on the outlaw commander's unit here. They'd already taken a casualty, that's why they've got that morale dice of 4. They fell back, failed their morale check, so they're now broken. And as I said, they've subsequently been forced back. Like this was kind of what I was worried about. They got forced back. That pushed the unit of archers behind them to also fall back. So they're in a real sticky situation over here. And then if that wasn't bad enough, if the if the Outlaws don't get the jump in the next turn, initiative-wise, they're going to be, these Slingers are going to be facing down the barrel of those Knights about to crash into them. So I think we know what we're going to be doing with our command points in the next turn for the Outlaws, arguably for both sides. I think most likely. Then over here, as I said, these are the two sergeants and the Outlaws. They're just outside of melee range, but I think someone's going to have to make a move there. So, whew, yeah, what a decisive opening turn. Already seen some casualties, and this does not look good for the Outlaws. So anyway, let's move on to turn 2. Turn 2, and I'm not sure what I'm going to run out of first, morale dice or broken markers. This was another horrific round. So let's get started. Just from the Outlaws' point of view, over here, the unit of actual Outlaws, the Green Outlaws, were charged by the group of sergeants there who inflicted 2 casualties. They failed their morale check, and despite using an action to defend, and they took 2 casualties, they failed the morale check and broke. Over here, interestingly, the Forest Slingers sustained the charge of the Knights that happened. We'll get to the Knights in a minute, but it was fairly ineffective. However, they took a couple of casualties from this sneaky group of crossbows here. They also failed their morale check and broke. Miraculously, probably the one good side or good note here, this unit of Forest Bowmen or Outlaw Bowmen passed their morale or rally check for the for the broken token that they had, and they were able to then use a command point to come over, or command action to come over and cause a casualty on the Knights. They failed morale check wise, and they fell back the maximum distance that they could. Elsewhere, this unit of Forest Bowmen also took a casualty, but they were able. They actually caused a couple of casualties, actually 3 casualties on the levy over here, who also, you're noticing a theme here, failed their morale check and broke away. So, and then lastly, yeah, just the unit of crossbows here didn't do anything of effect or import. So, yeah, and again, like just looking at the casualties that we've got so far for the Outlaws, yeah, they've suffered two Outlaws, 4 bowmen from 1 unit, 2 slingers, and another bowman. Meanwhile, for the sergeant side, they've lost a knight, a crossbow there, 2 crossbows there, and 3 of the levy, as I mentioned. So the next turn, I think, is going to be fairly, I think, quite a cleanup kind of round. Again, I'm using my D10s here as morale dice because I ran out. Yeah, definitely not the outcome that I thought we were going to have here. But I think, again, this third turn, I think whoever gets the first initiative, or is able to activate or get the initiative first, is going to have a decided upper hand. Let's see what happens. On to turn 3. Turn 3, and the luck finally ran out for the sergeants with falchions there. So they were able to charge the unit of slingers here, and they did inflict a couple of casualties. However, the outlaw commander and his unit kind of snuck around the side, fired their arrows into them, causing 2 casualties, and as you would guess by now, failed the morale check and are broken. Subsequently, this unit of crossbowmen fired on the outlaw commander, who was roughly here, killed all of the remaining troops except for the commander himself, this chap here. He failed and is now in real trouble, having broken, and his morale is up to, or modifier is up to 6. So really not, well, we've still got quite a few elements on the table here. That's the remainder of the force for the Outlaws. it's still looking pretty dire. Other than let's see, this unit here, I think, are in fairly, they're hanging on there. They've got 2 morale points, and this unit, like I said, the Slingers, they're actually they broke off. They didn't get broken, but still, it's not good. Gotta say though, things are equally faring as poorly for the sergeant side. So both units of crossbowmen, you can see here and here, they're also hanging on. But the levy took another beating from the archers on the hill. They're only down to 3 men, and they've got a -2 modifier to their morale. And the knight commander, all on his lonesome over there, he failed his morale check, fell back, and then using his command, he's able to take another morale check. He failed that one as well. I believe that's the only instance where a unit can take 2 morale checks in a turn, is by having the command ability in the unit. So either way, they failed both. So as I move on to turn 4, I think it's still really anybody's game, but both sides have taken a serious beating. So, all right, let's move on to the next turn, see how it shakes out. Turn 4, and both sides are severely depleted at this point. So yet again, let's just start over here. The knight commander failed his rally order and the command action to do it. He's had absolutely horrific rally rolls this game. So again, he's out of the battle. I think there's 1 turn left, and he's not going to do anything from back here other than stay alive and deny some points in that regard. Elsewhere, as you can see, the levy are wiped out, and so are the 2 remaining sergeants with falchions over here. They took kind of the final insult from the Slingers. I got to use my much anticipated shoot twice action, and that did the business. However, that unit of crossbows just there came around and inflicted another couple of casualties on them. So they're on the Slingers, so they're broken. Elsewhere, again, there's so many compulsory moves this turn. The Outlaw commander was able to pass a rally check, but again, it's just him. He's not doing anything else in this fight. So just hiding him behind a building. And then the shootout between this unit of archers and the 2 crossbows by the wood there, they've just kind of fired back and forth. And again, I think inflicted a casualty or 2 on each side. But again, I think they're just kind of whittling each other down at this point. So I'm anticipating this is going to be a pretty quick turn 5, and there's really no victor here. So anyway, let's see what happens in the final turn. Turn 5, and I just called it. It's over. So really nothing of effect happened in the turn, other than this unit of archers inflicted a casualty on the crossbow unit here, and the knight commander rallied. But again, so far away from anything, it really didn't matter. So adding up the points, it looks like the sergeant side, or the knight commander side, had 313 points worth of casualties that they inflicted, and the Outlaws had a staggering 382 points of casualties inflicted. So a win for the sergeants and for the knight commander. But again, really, I don't think having the knight commander, his trusty retainer, and 6 crossbowmen really is really much of a victory. You can see over here the casualties caused on both sides, and very messy. So that being said, this was a fun game. That deployment really had an impact on everything, and I'd also say the shooting. And I know in this game, shooting, especially out in the open, can be devastating, but it really was. And I was rolling high. I have to say, I did roll unusually high in the game when it came to shooting, very low when it came to morale checks. Anyway, I hope this was fun to watch. I'm really excited to try some new things. I want to try a game where I mix or I blend, or I shouldn't say I mix. I fight opposite sides of more inexperienced or green troops with more veteran troops. I really want to see kind of where the nuance is in running that side of things. So look for that coming. I've got a couple of units still on the paint table that I'm looking to bring on in the near future. And yeah, stay tuned for another game soon. Thanks for watching.